We've got people on. Look at that, folks. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Lisa Tynan, and I am the marketing and account manager for Roo, which is over my shoulder here. And if you have come across this webinar in some way, shape, or form, it probably means that you are getting our emails or you follow us on Facebook. So hopefully you know a little bit about what we do. We are a revolutionary online platform for animal hospitals who are looking for relief and for vets and vet techs who are looking to work relief shifts. So it's really innovative. It's all online. So if you want to speak to a person, you can, but if you're like me and you would rather just do everything on your phone, you can do that too. So after this is done, we encourage you to go to www.roo.vet and create a totally free account. It doesn't cost anything to sign up. There are no monthly fees. Super easy, super intuitive. We are still booking shifts, even in spite of everything with COVID-19 here in Houston, where I am, and in our other region, DFW. So if you are outside of Texas, we're not there yet. We'll be there soon, hopefully. But in the meantime, if you have a Texas license and you can practice, there is work for you. So with that being said, the update is Facebook was down a couple minutes ago. So maybe that's why mine isn't working. We'll try to upload it on Facebook, maybe in the middle of this for folks who are going to be watching us there. This beautiful woman I don't know which side she's on your computers, one of my sides, is Debbie Rotter, who, in addition to being a licensed clinical social worker and a certified yoga instructor, is also my mother. So if you're wondering why we look like twins with different color hair, that is why. But I promise that doesn't mean I'm going to let you off the hook with the tough questions. This is going to get, I'm just kidding. It's not going to get in depth in that way. Okay, so what we are talking about today, we have found to be a really relevant topic, and that is stress and what we can do about stress. Even if there were not a global pandemic going on, if you are in the veterinary field, which I'm sure many of you watching are, you experience more stress probably than the average person on a day-to-day basis, whether it's because of the high pace of your job or because you deal with sometimes very touchy subjects, life and death, for example. Stresses around us, prolonged stress, anxiety, we all want to find positive ways to deal with that. Not everybody likes to medicate, and even people who do, there are other ways that you can supplement that treatment. So we want to talk about ways that you can mitigate stress anywhere, anytime, without special equipment, and that is through breathing, through mindfulness and meditation. So if you have questions as we're going, I have a little Q&A that I can look at. So you can type them in the Q&A bar. The chat if you guys are chatting, I may not be able to see what you say. So ask it in the Q&As at the bottom if you're watching on Zoom. If you're watching on, probably not watching on Facebook. I'm going to keep trying to post it onto Facebook, but for now, it's just going to be us Zoomers. So now we're going to start talking to Mi Madre. Who are you? Tell us about yourself. Why are you such a valuable speaker on this subject? What do you do?
Let me start first of all by saying what a pleasure it is to be here and to have this opportunity to address the veterinary community, for whom I have so much respect and admiration and gratitude for all the pets throughout my life and yours, Lisa, who have been cared for by this community. And it's a wonderful opportunity for me to be able to share what I know about de-stressing to these folks. So I have been a psychotherapist, a licensed clinical social worker, national board certified clinical hypnotherapist, board certified diplomat, lots of letters there, which over the years have taken me deeper and deeper into this field, which has been ever changing. And certainly coping with stress has always been an important part of this. The what I want to be able to do as soon as possible in our time together is to teach you all some very practical techniques to help you de-stress in the moment right then, because as you all well know, the mind and body are constantly in communication with each other. And when the body and the brain are sensing danger or a stressful trigger, all sorts of things happen to the body and the brain communication that trigger responses. Most of this stuff that's going on is outside of our control. This fight or flight response, for example, as you know, the sympathetic nervous system goes way, way back to our ancient human beginnings as a way of surviving. And it really worked for us. If you were one of those hyper responsive worriers, you survived and went on to create this species. If you were kind of laid back and mellow, you got eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. So we all come from, we come by our anxiety honestly. It's wired into us. And most of it is happening outside of our control. But these two primary techniques that I'd like to teach you enable you to intervene with that automatic mind-body conversation to gain control and calm yourself down, to literally flip yourself from the fight or flight sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic or calming down nervous system. So, you know, Lisa, the sooner I can impart that information, then the better I'll feel that I've done what I feel is so important and valuable.
Well, then we can get right into it. But first, you talked a little bit about some of the effects of stress, and some stress is good, some stress not so good. And I think we can probably generally agree, long-term stress, there's never really a good time for prolonged stress. So I want to show what it does, because you made these beautiful flyers. Then that's not even the right one. Look at me, already clicking on the wrong thing. I'm on a roll. Here we go. All right.
This is something that I am teaching my clients all the time, certainly way before this pandemic. A little bit of stress obviously is a good thing. It gets us out of the way of danger. It enables us to enjoy a horror movie or a roller coaster ride, but it's continuing, enduring stress that takes a toll on the body. As you can see on that handout that I've given Lisa, actual stress hormones over a prolonged amount of time start doing damage. Cortisol especially is a really dangerous stress hormone for the body to experience over time. As you can see, blood platelets actually start to get sticky, which can cause plaque to build. That's the whole hardening of the arteries. The pancreas begins to work overtime, which is what leads us towards diabetes. The body thinks it's in danger and starts to build and maintain fat. The immune system weakens. Our sleep pattern is disturbed, and we'll talk more later about the importance of sleep. And the hippocampal neurons in the brain become sort of sensitized to stress, and they become overreactive. You get more stressed more easily if this becomes kind of your default mode. So to take this process of de-stressing seriously is crucial for your good health and sense of well-being.
That is very informative. So basically, if you are stressed, it becomes easier for you to get stressed, which makes it easier for you to get stressed. So you want to nip it in the bud as quickly as possible.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
It becomes almost a habituated process in the brain. as well as also physiological detrimental things going on.
Okay.
Um,
So then let's talk about how we can mitigate that. So we know that stress is bad. We don't, long-term stress is bad. We don't want it to become our default. So we want to find ways to either interrupt it while it's happening or prevent it from even happening in the first place. We mentioned in our advertisements of this webinar, it can be as simple as just learning to breathe properly, right? So you're going to teach us how to take a good breath. And some folks watching this might be like, I didn't know there was a difference between a good breath and a bad breath. I have set myself up so that I can demonstrate some of these for everybody. But the thing that I wanted everyone watching to pay attention to is everything that we're going to talk about and show you can be done anywhere. You don't have to wear yoga clothing. You don't need any kind of special equipment. You can learn to do this stuff and practice it in the car. You can do it at work. If you're in between patients, you can go into your office and sit and close your eyes. Because I think something that is a big barrier for a lot of people is they think that they're pretty sure that they are going to have to be someplace or do something that they can't do, and so they're like, well, I'll just be stressed all the time. So that's I want that to be like the main takeaway.
So we've all heard somebody tell us, all right, just take a deep breath. And yes, absolutely, taking a deep breath is a really good start. I'd like to take that a little bit further, because most of us, when we take a deep breath, are taking a shallow breath. We're really just using the top third of our lungs. As a matter of fact, most of us are breathing, shallow breathing, all day long. And what happens is that with each shallow breath, as you all know, we're taking in oxygen and exhaling carbon dioxide. Well, not all of the carbon dioxide is expelled with this shallow breathing. And over just a few breaths, carbon dioxide begins to collect in the lower part of our lungs. And as I mentioned, the mind and body are in constant communication with each other. And when the brain is getting the message, hey, there's carbon dioxide hanging out down here in my lungs, the brain flips into the fight or flight or sympathetic nervous response. So we could be in a slightly elevated anxiety all day long just because we're shallow breathing, and this carbon dioxide is collecting in the lower lungs. That message goes from the alveoli in the lungs up through the vagus nerve in our spine to the brain. It says, whoa, clicking on some stress hormones here. So Lisa's going to demonstrate for you a better way to take a deep breath, what we call belly breathing, or if you are singers, you know it as diaphragmatic breathing.
All right,
there we go.
Sorry, everybody.
When you inhale, and it seems counterintuitive, when you inhale, you actually push the belly button out. I'm having Lisa lie down, and if you want to try this and learn to do it, you'll find it's easier to get used to this lying down because you don't have the weight of your upper torso impeding this. But as she inhales through her nose, you're going to see that heavy book rise up. Okay, there we go. She's inhaled, and as she exhales, the book slowly lowers. And that movement of pushing that belly button up on the inhale and sucks the oxygen all the way down to the bottom of your lungs, where it captures any leftover carbon dioxide, which is then expelled with the exhale. I have Lisa placing one hand on her chest to help remind her that we're going to hold the chest steady right now. We're not going to involve it in this belly breathing. Only the belly button is going to push out if you're sitting, or up if you're lying down. And as you exhale, you draw that in. In a yoga breathing class, they actually place 10-pound sandbags on their belly to get this kind of wired into the brain as more of the default mode of how to breathe than this shallow chest breathing. If you're an athlete, this is a way better way to breathe. You're going to be oxygenating yourself all the way out to your fingertips and toes, as well as just taking a natural method to calm your brain down.
Okay, so I did not use a 10-pound weight, but I still felt how that was, that you can feel the difference. It's harder work than just casually halfway breathing through it, which is, I think, probably a good thing to practice it. I mean, people call it yoga practice, but it's a good thing to practice because it's a feeling you're not used to. So if you're not used to belly breathing, it's very foreign and you default to the other way and you're not getting the benefits.
And you want to be a belly breather all day long. If you've seen little kids in their bathing suits and their bellies are nice and rounded, they're belly breathing. We lose that natural way of breathing as we become more vertical. We wear tight pants, we're sucking it in, and we are shallow breathing and losing this natural ability to calm ourselves down. I will tell you, I am sitting here belly breathing because this is kind of scary to be doing this podcast thingy. So
You're doing great.
am definitely, thanks. This is something that's invisible, really, to those around you, and a way to calm yourself down right off the bat.
So I just want to tell you, we have someone watching who is both a veterinarian and a black belt, which kudos to you. I feel like martial arts probably have similar techniques and methods to yoga in some ways, but that's just a guess. I could be wrong.
No, absolutely. They are connected. There are different branches of this kind of, whether it's from the Far East, various religions and cultures utilize the martial arts, Qigong, Tai Chi, yoga, a whole slew of ways that also incorporate breath, control, and breathing as part of the process, an important part of the process.
All right, well then that was a cool little connection we got there. Okay, so we've done the belly breathing. Is there another important technique or thing that we need to remember if maybe we just don't want to sit and have that moment? What else can we utilize when we're practicing good breath?
So another excellent trick that enables you to intervene in that mind-body connection is knowing that if the exhale is longer than the inhale, over 10 breaths maybe, the brain gets the message to flip us from the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, over to the calm down parasympathetic nervous system. The brain is getting these messages again from your lungs. And if your exhale is longer than the inhale, you are intervening, sending a message to the brain, let's calm down, we're okay down here, turn off those stress hormones.
I have a question.
Yes.
In through your nose, out through your nose, in through your mouth, out. Which direction is it supposed to go?
Ideally, in and out through the nose.
Okay.
The nasal passages are really rich in terms of the cellular sensitivity, connection to our autonomic nervous system. And so using the nasal passages is kind of like a booster to this process. If you have a stuffed up nose and you need to be breathing through your mouth, that's fine. I'm just giving you the ideal method, ideally in through the nose and out through the nose. Yeah, we can, I can teach you a very powerful breathing technique. This is coming from the yoga pranayama, which is the breathing faction of yoga. It's called Brahmari breathing, and Brahmari means bumblebee in Sanskrit. And you have to imagine a room full of monks doing this Brahmari breathing, and it sounds like a hive of bees. It's really, it's an amazing sound, but what's happening, and again, I can show you, and Lisa can show you, what we're doing is we're making our exhale way, way longer than the inhale to really exaggerate this shift from fight or flight to calm down. This Brahmari breathing, if you do the full-on, full Monty thing of it, you're probably going to want to be alone somewhere. It looks a little weird and it sounds a little weird. It's very powerful. They tell us, you know, I personally, around 7 rounds of this is sufficient for me. 10 ideally for some people, never more than 17 of these long, slow breathing cycles, because it's such a powerful message to the brain. So Lisa, if you want to demonstrate while I'm describing it,
Yes.
you're going to, first of all, take your thumbs and stick them in your ears. You're kind of, hear me now, I don't know how I'm doing.
I can hear you.
You're going to be creating a sound chamber in your head so that you're hearing it and the vibrations are magnifying the effect, okay? The next thing, you take your bottom 3 fingers and gently place them over your eyes. Again, you're creating a dark cave. Your index fingers can gently rest on your forehead. They're really just resting there. Now you want to try and relax your shoulders and take a nice deep inhale through your nose. And as you exhale, you're going to hum the letter M. Go for it, Lisa. But louder so we can hear you. Real loud.
I really have to? All right.
Yeah,
nobody judge me.
Nobody's judging. Okay. All right. And
so on.
This can be, and I'm going to, because I don't really care who, what, you know, what, anyway, this is, you want it in the lower register for a nice deep resonance, but it's going to go, I can go forever. All right, I used to play the oboe, so, well, all right. So I have a kind of breath.
Don't have to toot your own horn.
Notice that because you've closed your mouth, you've constricted your trachea, you're humming, your head is vibrating, and it takes a very long time for this exhale. And when you reach the bottom, you've run out of air, you just inhale again, and do it again. And I can guarantee you that after 7, and for you it may even be sooner, you will feel automatically more calm. It's a wonderful thing. After you've done whatever number, I kind of tap a finger a tiny bit to keep count, so I know how many I'm doing. And the inhale and the exhale counts as 1. And then sit quietly for just a few breaths. You will notice a magical shift. Now, Brahmari breathing is also really good for falling asleep. If you find yourself with a really active, or as in yoga, they call it monkey mind, going all over the place, or you're stuck in a really negative, ruminating loop that you can't stop, this Brahmari breathing will break you out of that, calm you down, and help you sleep. Now, if you're not sleeping alone and you don't want to be humming, you can just kind of whisper the letter M, and I'll kind of get close to the microphone. Can you hear that?
Yeah, is that, we had someone mention in the Q&A, is that Ujjayi breathing? Okay,
Ujjayi breathing,
if you
yes.
do yoga.
Ocean breath, Ujjayi breathing, yes, coming out of, again, yoga pranayama. But you're still constricting, and you can pace that exhale. It will still take a long time, and you won't disturb the person sleeping next to you. If it's dark, you don't really have to create this sound chamber, but again, the internal vibrating magnifies, boosts the effect. I do Brahmari breathing with my eyes open while I'm driving in bad traffic. Of course, I think once upon a time I once was driving in bad traffic. It seems so long ago.
What's traffic? What are
I
cars?
think there was a time. And you can do this, you know, it's alone in a car, whatever. Because you're still making this very long exhale, and the brain's getting the message. Exhale's longer than inhale, flipping to the calm down response.
So breathing is simple. Anybody can do it. You already know how, obviously. This is just elevating your breath practice. But we also have talked about mindfulness and meditation. So I want to shift into that a little bit. But I know when people hear the word meditate, they think a group of monks, like you said, sitting around chanting and humming in all sorts of still positions, emptying the mind. And weirdly enough, that sounds really intimidating and really difficult. And I personally am not, let me put it this way. I tried to do some meditation last night with the 40 count breathing, which we talked about, and I literally could not stop zooming around in my brain.
Right.
So it's very, very daunting if you don't actually know what it is. So tell us what meditation is and how we can do it without being monks.
Okay, and the meditation I'm talking about is a westernized version of the transcendental meditation that kind of crossed the ocean to the west back in the 60s, 70s, where you were told to empty your mind of thoughts. And of course, nobody can do that. The brain thinks. That's what it does. We can't get it to stop thinking. And mindfulness meditation actually capitalizes on that fury of thought that's going on. The definition of mindfulness meditation is simply focused attention on your experience in the present moment. So if you're meditating, let's imagine, you want to find some anchor, something to come back to after the mind is wandering. And quite often the breath is the easiest thing. So you're aware of your breathing. Okay, you're breathing, breathing, breathing. 8/10 of a second later, you're planning lunch. Okay, so once you finally, however long it takes, catch yourself, oh, look, I'm thinking about lunch. That's interesting. Then you bring it back, and I'm breathing, I'm bringing, and the mind takes off in another direction. What am I going to wear tomorrow? Oh, look, I'm planning my wardrobe. And you come back to the breath. Every time you catch yourself thinking, that's the benefit of mindfulness meditation, or one of the benefits. You are aware of yourself thinking. And so we're talking about, what do you want to call it, metacognition, or you're catching yourself thinking, and that's actually doing a brain push-up, which is actually increasing specific areas of the brain that are very crucial to self-awareness, to good memory, to executive function.
Nope, that's the wrong one again.
That's okay.
I named them the wrong one. Hold on.
Right. So we're talking about the benefits, and that is a good one. As you meditate, if your mind, now go back to the one you had, Lisa, that was better.
All right.
You're doing brain push-ups. you're catching yourself thinking. So if in a 10-minute meditation time, your mind wanders 1,000 different places, and you catch yourself and bring yourself back to center, you've done 1,000 brain push-ups. So the notion that you're supposed to be able to empty your mind is no longer what we're looking for. With meditation, yes, sit quietly, yes, breathe, because then you're getting the calm down effects that we're turning off stress hormones, hopefully. But by watching yourself think, you are actually building up gray matter. You're making areas of the brain bigger that enable you to
I'm going to show this other one.
catch yourself thinking. And so there's self-control. Yeah, it's the other one, Lisa. It's
Yes,
meditation, gray
I
matter.
found it. There it is.
Okay, so the area of the brain that's actually getting bigger and is so valuable, one of them is the insula, and that's our body mapping part of the brain. That's how we know where we are in space, but it's also our empathy area of the brain. I don't want to go into too much of this, but the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex, these areas in the brain actually increase in size because of meditation, because of this catching yourself breathing. They've been hooking meditators, monks, and practitioners up to all sorts of electrodes and fMRIs to see what's going on and to measure the benefits. And it's now hard science, which is so fantastic. So just 10 minutes a day of this kind of focused attention on what you're experiencing is improving your memory, improving your self-control and your ability to problem solve. Mindfulness doesn't have to be about meditating. Actually, you can be mindful all day long. You can eat mindfully. You can stop thinking about something else and just be aware of the flavors. Or if you're shampooing, you can just stop your mind from wandering and say, okay, let me just pay attention to how this shampoo and how good this warm water feels. That's being mindful. That's pulling your brain into the moment to be aware of what you're experiencing, and that's doing the brain push-up.
Well,
So
so
it's easy. We're all good at it. No judgment. If your mind's wandering, bravo, because you get more chances to do brain push-ups.
so it doesn't have to be scary when people hear the word meditate. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be some transcendental monk. You can do it sitting on the toilet if that's where you feel it necessary. But for those people who are into a more challenging version of it, if you want to, because I said at the beginning, you don't have to be a yogi, but if you do yoga or if you enjoy yoga, how do those work together? And what, why is it so popular right now? Why does everybody love yoga other than the super comfortable clothing?
Yoga is the perfect combination of breath control and mind-body experience. So it is the total package. Actually, yoga means union, and I like to think of it as the union of the mind and the body, or the breath and the body. That yoga has become, of course, westernized, and now it's competitive and it's athletic and moving further and further away, in my opinion, from where its true benefits lie. Yoga, because there are certain poses, and it has an interesting history, which I won't go into, but it's basically based on British calisthenics. The Indians, as they were being invaded by the Brits, wanted to continue with their practice, but they had to appease the British rulings, and so they made their yoga look like British calisthenics, and then they were allowed to do it. But the poses themselves, whatever pose it is, if you can get there and find quiet, whether you're holding a balance pose or a stretch or a strength move, to find a place in that pose where you can quiet your mind, tune into your body and your breath, and experience whatever this pose has to tell you. Aware of the muscles that are working, aware of the body involvement, you're going to get the benefits, the strength improvement, the flexibility improvement. There's some aerobic improvement, of course, balance, all of that goes without saying in yoga. But if you allow it simply to be your version of a pose that is manageable, not stressed and working too hard, but manageable and comfortable enough that you can quiet your mind into the experience of each pose, then you're getting a moving meditation. I don't know if we have time, Lisa, for you. I asked Lisa to demonstrate a very, very simple, it's usually an opening move in a yoga class, but you are coordinating your breath and the movement of your body. It's ideal to do this with your eyes closed, to tune in to the experience, and simply sitting anywhere. As you inhale through the nose, you're going to scoop your arms out and up. They're going to come together. And then as you exhale, you slowly bring the hand down and they find heart center, and you lower your chin at the end of the exhale. And you inhale, scoop it up, exhale. And I'm asked Lisa to kind of trace the profile of her face as she's coming down. It looks like this. This is just an interesting move, which again ties your experience to this interoception, this awareness of your body. So this slow breathing in coordination with the movement of the body is just a tiny example of how yoga can become a meditative and brain calming experience. It's quite beautiful, really, like a dance that will give you the benefits of meditation with movement.
So again, I know it can be intimidating, and I personally am a competitive person. So I have a hard time going into a yoga class and not comparing myself to everybody else. So for me, the challenge is my brain push-up is looking over into the person who's got, their leg behind their head and doing the brain push-up and pulling it back and saying, that's not my practice. And that is my own version of trying to meditate and not, also fall on my face, which.
The best thing to do as soon as you get the cue from your instructor is to close your eyes. Just close your eyes, because then you're tuned in just to your experience. You can tune everybody else out. It isn't about comparing. It isn't about their experience. It's so based on your anatomy and your own innate flexibility. There isn't a reward at the end who has the leg up the highest.
Thank you.
It's just, you're still working those muscles to their stretched point for your body, not for somebody else's body. So closing your eyes as much as possible takes it into a more personal yoga practice.
For those who weren't with us at the beginning and who missed the curriculum vitae that we started with, in addition to being a psychotherapist, my mother is also a certified yoga instructor. And how long have you been doing yoga? Nobody did any math.
Yoga for over 50 years. I started in 1969.
How's that possible? Because you're only 45 years old. That's just
right. Something. And the yoga certification is more recent. This is something that, as I'm semi-retired now in my own private practice, I talk about this stuff all the time with my clients. The pranayama, there are some excellent books out there about the healing benefits of the breath. The coursework that I've been taking all lended itself. And because I'm doing yoga anyway, I figured, if I get certified, then I can sort of legally incorporate this into my practice.
But what I love is that the classes you teach are meditative yoga, and it's the women from the neighborhood. It's not a bunch of young 20 somethings who are coming to get flexible. It's people who want to center themselves and stay active, and I think like you said, that's a benefit that's been lost, and it's the part of the benefit that we need the most.
And the proof of that is at the end of the yoga class, you feel unbelievably exquisite. That's how you should feel. You've oxygenated yourself, you've calmed your brain down, you've tuned into your body, and at the end of the class, it should feel magical. A huge shift in your sense of well-being. And to be able to make that happen as a yoga instructor is pretty exciting.
If anyone has ever taken a yoga class, the last part it's my favorite pose is Shavasana, which means corpse pose. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Where you just lie on your back and breathe. And I have been in several yoga classes where people have started snoring because they've fallen asleep. They are so relaxed after the class that it takes them, they also could have narcolepsy, I don't know, but they've fallen asleep after this practice. And that feeling is just, you get up and you're kind of like.
And it's, if you're so tired that you need to sleep at the end of the class, have at it. But ideally, Shavasana can be a time for meditation. And that's when we didn't talk about it, but there's the simplest meditation I know is the 40 count meditation, where you simply are counting backwards in your mind your exhales. The first exhale is 40. The next exhale is 39. The next, and so forth, down to 0. Of course, in between, your mind has wandered 1,000 times, and you come back 36, 35 at your own slow breath pace, and then the mind is often running. The counting and the breath is the anchor you come back to, and if you've forgotten what number you're on, it doesn't matter. Just pick a number and go from there. But that makes Shavasana not just nap time. That gives you an additional benefit then of brain push-ups, of doing meditation.
So even when you're completely still,
your body is still, and instead of thinking, letting your mind travel around, you are putting that time to a meditative benefit. Mindfulness.
Anywhere. You can do it anywhere. Doesn't have to be a yoga mat. I'm picturing in all the vet clinics that I have worked in or been at, locking yourself in the radiology room, going in where you take x-rays. And if you, especially because, and my bulk of my animal experience is in animal welfare. So everything there is heightened. Everything is more tense because those animals don't have owners most of the time, or if they did horrible things. So you needed to take lots of minutes and go into a quiet room somewhere. And instead of screaming or crying, which can be cathartic, but maybe doesn't have the benefits, you can go quietly into a room or go sit at your desk or sit in your car if you can't find a quiet place and count down from 40. And in that time, you've brought yourself back down to a nice, you may not be happy, but at least you're not on the verge of hysterics. And I think that anyone watching, even if you're not a veterinarian, I think that can be so beneficial. We haven't really talked about it, but we're in a global pandemic. And I don't know if anyone else watching has experienced this, but every so often I'll just be sitting there and then maybe I'll cough and I'm like, oh God, I've got the Rona. And then I start panicking. And that panic, because there's nothing you can do about it, everything is completely beyond our control, that, and the fact that it just keeps sneaking up, this breathing is super duper important. But it doesn't just have to be a global pandemic that's causing your stress. It can be your boss. It can be if you're a parent and you have kids, or a grandparent and you have kids that are home with you right now and you just need like 1 second, you can sit on the toilet, lock yourself in the bathroom and breathe, and it can help.
I'll hear you humming in there doing Brahmari breathing.
Don't do Brahmari breathing. That's, if you have to hide from a child, maybe not Brahmari.
No, it's okay. You could do Brahmari. You're not going to, it's not going to knock you out. It's going to definitely flip you into a calmer state. So Brahmari breathing is the most powerful because of those breathing techniques for calming down, because your exhale is so much longer than the inhale. But you could do what they call the 4-5-6 breathing, where you do a 4-count inhale, a 5-count hold, and a 6-count exhale, slowly, all three, a number of times. And just because your 6-count exhale is longer than the 4 and the 5-count inhale, you're flipping yourself out of fight or flight and into a calm down response. So, and you can do it invisibly. I've done it in meetings where people are getting to me and I'm quietly doing invisibly, doing a 4-count inhale, a 5-count hold, 6-count exhale, and nobody knows, but I'm much more, there's a greater sense of equanimity at the other side of that practice.
Very wonderful. So I'm going to wrap it up, but we've had people chatting away in the chat section, which is so wonderful. And I think the overarching theme here was that everyone was very grateful for the knowledge that you have imparted. And if folks who haven't been looking through here, when you signed up to watch this and you had to put your email address in, I will send the handouts. We shared 2 of them, but there are 2 other ones that have really valuable information. So I can share those handouts with you so that you have that. These are all my mother's words, but we have sources. If you're interested in the books that she's read, you can absolutely communicate with me and I'll be happy to pass those along. Hopefully our viewers have found this helpful. I find myself fortunate to have a mother who is both a yogi and a therapist. You would think I'd be more well-rounded as a result, but we're all works in progress. But I hope that in the midst of all of this, everyone has found just 45 minutes of peace and relaxation. And we'll share this on our social media if you guys follow. If you haven't followed us yet, come find us, because one of the big major tenets of Roo is that we want to support our community, and that's not just for employment purposes, that's also for mental health and well-being, because the veterinary industry, as anybody in there knows, unfortunately has a lot of mental health suffering, and we're not okay with that. So we're trying to do our little part to help everybody out. So thank you for watching. Thank you, Mamala. Just so you know, we're on an hour time difference. She's all the way in Virginia. I'm here in Houston. But everyone here is very grateful for your time. And we're going to try and have some more of these kind of informative conversations throughout the next couple of weeks, since what else do we have to do? So everyone be well, take deep breaths, stay safe, wash your hands, wear your masks, and we will see you next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.